Hello and welcome to this week's edition of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. I'm your host, Chris Green, Director of Network Expansion for Avoya Travel, and thank you for your time and thank you for all of the great inquiries. We really appreciate your continued support of our weekly outreach program. We hope you hear something or see something that sparks your interest today, makes you want to know more, because Avoya Travel, as a family-owned business with more than 50 years experience in the travel industry, has an amazing story to tell. We're just different here at Avoya Travel. We operate with a different mindset. We interact with our affiliates in a different manner. Our resources are on a completely different level versus our competition. And quite frankly, our results are very different too. The Avoya Travel Network is known in the industry as the network that sells more and generates more commission. And that's not a bad thing to be known for. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, put in that request at our website, avoyanetwork.com, or wait for all of the contact details at the end of today's show, and we can't wait to hear from you. And boy, do we have a busy program today for On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. We're going to touch on some of the latest industry news and provide some insights, including the latest from Ireland, where they're getting ready to eliminate many internal COVID restrictions. Hungary, where they're shutting down to Americans once again, but leaving a carve-out, thankfully, for the river cruise industry. Silver Sea Cruises in the news as they announce a switch to the other side of the South American continent for Antarctica sailings. And Vicky Freed, our great friend from Royal Caribbean International, breaks the internet again. All of that and more coming up in our Eye on the Industry segment. I'm also very excited about our interview segment today, when today we'll feature Nichole Patrick, owner of Traverse the Earth LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Travel Network, as our special Meet the Network guest. Nichole will be discussing her current impressions and observations of the travel industry, how that impacts her agency, and how she uses Avoya Travel resources to stay engaged with her clientele. I look forward to having Nichole join us in just a few moments. But right now, let's kick off today's On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update, with our Eye on the Industry segment. And we start in the Emerald Isles. Yes, Ireland. We're beginning on October 22nd. Ireland is planning to drop almost all of its restrictions due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The only restrictions in place will be the mask mandates on board public transportation and mask mandates in indoor business areas. Capacity limits for both indoor and outdoor events, as well as vaccination certification to enter bars and restaurants, will be dropped. And the reason Ireland feels they can make that move is because of its very high vaccination rate. Ireland reports that over 90% of its residents over the age of 18 have received at least one dose of an approved vaccine. Now, no word yet if this will also include the easing of travel restrictions on American travelers. As of now, individuals traveling to Ireland must fill out a passenger locator form and provide proof of either full vaccination or recent recovery from COVID-19 to bypass the mandatory 14-day quarantine. The U.S. State Department has Ireland at a level 4 do not travel designation, but that is only an advisory and not a mandate. In response to the European Union's August 30th advisory to remove the U.S. from its safe travel list, Hungary was among several countries to tighten restrictions on American travelers. However, they did leave a carve out for the river cruise industry that still allow Americans to enter the country on a 24-hour transit exemption. The river cruises will also be allowed to call on Budapest as a port of call, again, due to a similar exemption. But what won't be allowed is pre or post cruise overnight stays in Hungary, which does eliminate one of the more popular options for travelers. Currently, several river cruise companies are working with authorities to ensure that their guests have the proper documentation so they can board and enjoy this popular destination. Silver Sea Cruises is switching sides of the South American continent for sailings to Antarctica. Silver Seas confirmed this week they've reached an agreement with the Chilean authorities to home port 3 ships for the 2021-2022 season after Argentina restrictions made it impossible for American travelers to leave from there. The Silver Cloud and Silver Wind will sail from Punta Arenas, while additional Antarctica-bound ship, the Silver Explorer, will continue with its scheduled departure from Chile's Puerto Williams starting in November. Now, one of the challenges with coming out of Chile is the 2-day crossing of the Drake Passage, which typically has some of the roughest seas in the world. Well, they've got a solution. If your clients have the money, Silver Seas is introducing the launch of the Antarctica Bridge, a business class jet service enabling passengers to avoid that 2-day sailing. Guests will fly directly from Punta Arenas to King George Island in Antarctica on a jet specifically modified to land on the island. It's just next world. After the flight, guests board the ship for the Antarctica portion of the cruise. Then they fly back before the ship crosses the Drake back to Chile. Silver Seas will sail mostly 10-day itineraries, as well as the shorter 5, 6, or 9 days as part of that Antarctica Bridge program. And finally, Vicki Freed, Senior Vice President of Sales, Marketing, and Trade Support and Services for Royal Caribbean International, has broken the internet yet again. Vicki said on her 70th Coffee Talk webinar last week that the first 1,000 travel advisors who either signed up or renewed their ASTA membership in the month of September would receive a free Royal Caribbean cruise. Well, the response was overwhelming. And to quote Vicki from an appearance earlier this week, it crashed the ASTA site as they quickly filled that quota, which is great for Royal Caribbean International and of course, great for our friends at ASTA. Now, this isn't the first time that an offer from Vicki Freed has overwhelmed computer servers. It was late last year in 2020 when during another one of her coffee talks that Vicki encouraged those that wanted to sign up to be part of a future Royal Caribbean test sailing could register at a certain portal. Well, that overwhelming response of over 100,000 requests also shut down internet traffic. Vicki certainly knows how to move the travel agent meter, and we're grateful to call her a friend and colleague here at Avoya Travel. As we continue with this week's episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update, it is time for what I always like to call my favorite segment. And guess what? Seems to be your favorite segment too. That's the feedback I've been getting as I've had the opportunity to finally attend a few industry events recently after being stuck in the home office for the last year and a half. And I've had a chance to interact with some people who've made On Deck with Avoya part of their weekly schedule. And we're both humbled and appreciative of their continued support and love to receive that feedback. This week, we're excited for another edition of Meet the Network, our chance to visit one of the members of the Avoya Travel Network and hear their stories from that side of our relationship. This week, an amazing guest, Nichole Patrick, owner of Traverse the Earth LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Travel Network, will be joining us in just a second. Before we bring on Nichole, I just want to again remind you that we're excited to engage with you and talk about our best-in-class resources, which are the heart of our offering. The travel professionals focus on selling leisure travel. We want to tell you more about our exclusive live leads, our Avoya University, our mastermind team, our brand sales specialist, not to mention Avoya technology, support, and marketing. So please reach out and start the conversation. I think you'll be very happy that you did. So let's welcome in our special Meet the Network guest, Nichole Patrick, owner of Traverse the Earth LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Travel Network. Nichole, thank you for your time, and thanks for being with us today for On Deck with Avoya.
Absolutely. Always glad to join you, Chris, and always glad to do what I can for the network.
Thank you so much. Nichole, the first thing I wanted to ask you is kind of like a little backstory, how you got started in the travel industry and how you ended up as an affiliate with the Avoya Travel Network.
Sure. So long story short would be as my kids got older and I had been a school mom, a stay-at-home mom for many years, and they got older and you know, they don't need mom as much. And I was like, I really need to find something to do with my time. Travel had always been like this curiosity of mine. And I have some family members who have been in travel in different forms and fashions. So thank you, Google. I found Avoya, then started digging a little more, found an agent in the town next to my tiny little mountain town who was affiliated with Avoya and started having conversations, and the rest is history.
Now, what about exciting travel that maybe you've had the chance to take recently? I know we last chatted when I ran into you, and it was so great to see you at Cruise 360, but I know you had a trip coming up right after that for Turks and Caicos. I can only imagine that was a really amazing experience, Nichole.
Oh my goodness. It's truly just beautiful and it's paradise. And one thing I love, I think the most, and I think it's like the best feature about the entire island is the water and the beach. It is perfect. I know at one point someone told us that, you know, you can see 100 feet down in the water when you're out there snorkeling. And I'm just like amazed at how clear and beautiful it was. My husband and I spent like 20 minutes in the pool to begin with, and the rest of the time was in the ocean.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat that, like that powdery sugar sand, and the
Yeah.
color of that water is just stunning, isn't it?
It truly is. It was amazing. And there was this perfect breeze all the time. I don't know if it's always breezy there, but there was this perfect breeze the whole time. So we never really like got over hot. It was wonderful.
What resort did you have a chance to stay at?
Oh, good question. We were staying at Club Med Turquoise, and it's an adults only resort there on the island. And it was equally fabulous. We love Club Med. We've been to several of their resorts.
We're actually fortunate. We're going to have Justin, who's the BDM for our network from Club Med, who's going to be a special guest here on Deck with Avoya in 2 weeks. So we're really looking forward to having Justin on the program. So good timing as far as your stay there. Nichole,
Yeah.
what is it about selling travel that appeals to you as a person and as a business owner? And as a follow-up, what is it about being a business owner in the Avoya Travel Network specifically that appeals to you?
I am naturally a people pleaser. And so one thing about selling travel to other people is that you're helping them plan something that's going to make them happy, right? I mean, you're going to have the occasional grumpy person, but for the most part, people go on vacation, they look forward to it, they're happy when they return, and they're hopefully relaxed to some extent. So I'm a people pleaser and I love travel. And so it's like this combination of just helping people, get what makes them happy and relaxed. So I love just working in this industry. It's just fabulous. As far as being a business owner with Avoya, I mean, we don't have enough time to really talk about all that because I could go on. I'm a huge fan, obviously, but I think for me, when I think back to like when I was first starting with Avoya and I was new to travel, it was that support. It was just knowing I had our mastermind team, I had Avoya University, I had these people that should I find myself needing some guidance and some just kind of being pointed, in a general direction. I always had someone to reach out to. The support and just the professional education, and it's just so valuable. And I know that the network as a whole, the other agents, I can reach out to them also. We're like one big family.
Now, I know, Nichole, that you serve on the Avoya Travel Independent Agency Advocacy Board right now. Tell me a little bit about that experience and how that's also helped you and providing your input to Avoya Travel, because I know from our end, we certainly appreciate that.
Absolutely. And what an honor to be included in that board. So it's a group of agents who meet monthly and we meet with, I think there's 3 Avoya staff members that we talk about, what can we do to better improve the network, to improve the relationships between Avoya Travel and their affiliates in the network. And we, talk out loud about our thoughts about how we can improve, make the network better, right? Not just for the network, but also for Avoya, because it's a mutual symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely. That's why we call it a shared success relationship.
Exactly.
What kind of research did you do, and what would you recommend to others that are either looking for a new host or maybe for those that are interested in starting up a travel business in this exciting industry?
Oh, good question. So a couple of different things. First of all, Google obviously is your best friend. There's great websites out there, host agency reviews and things like that, where you can read all about the different host agencies that are out there and kind of you can read the reviews. You can also just read about the host agencies and what they each have to offer, because they're all kind of unique in their own way. And, how do you want to run your own independent agency and what do you want that to look like together? I would say a huge thing I did when I was first starting to get into travel before I launched myself in was I actually spoke to a friend of mine who is not with Avoya, but she's a travel agent. She's been with been in travel for several years. And to be honest, she painted an ugly picture for me. It was not beautiful, but looking back, I appreciate that she gave me the whole good, bad, and the ugly. She really gave me more of the bad and the ugly. However, as these challenges did come up, right, I was able to be mentally prepared for them. So really just talking about all of it with someone that is in the industry to know kind of what to expect. It's fun. I love it. I wouldn't do anything else with my life. It's just the best thing. But like all things, it has its challenges and it's good to be prepared for those.
Absolutely. Sometimes once you get a little sneak peek behind the curtain, it puts everything in kind of a full perspective and allows you to make a much more educated decision about what you want to do for the future, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Nichole Patrick, owner of Traverse the Earth LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Travel Network, is our featured Meet the Network guest today. Nichole, talk to me about some of the challenges that you faced during this COVID crisis, and more specifically, how you try and overcome those challenges to remain engaged with your client base. Because I'm assuming that being engaged is one of the most important things to actually having some chance at success from a sales standpoint.
Absolutely, especially right now. I think the biggest challenge that I would ask anyone throughout the industry is just all of the cancellations. You know, as a travel agent, you work really hard to build these perfect vacations for your customers. And then to know not only, you know, are you having to go through the work of canceling, which is a bummer, but also it's a bummer for your customers because they were looking forward to that. So I think that's the biggest challenge. But like you said, staying engaged is so important, especially right now. I know I've had friends of friends who will reach out to me and say, you know, I had a cruise and then the person who booked it for me, they're not answering the phone. You know, are they even in business anymore? Right. So letting people know, hey, I'm still here despite the challenges of our industry right now. And that can be done by, you know, just reaching out to past guests. I think it's huge to stay active on your website, on your social medias, because when someone's looking you up and you haven't posted anything for 6 months, they just might think you are no longer in business.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. You have to continually remind people. I mean, that's the thing about this industry. It is an amazing industry, but like even your mom might price shop you sometimes, you know what I mean, right? So you have to be out there. This is something that you have to, you know, make a point of staying in front of your clients and then giving them a reason to reach out. And sometimes you're talking them off the ledge and sometimes you're pumping them up for the excitement, but staying right there really does make a big impact, I really believe. And Avoya Travel really excited that through programs like our mastermind program and our brand sales specialist, there's all sorts of ways, our marketing resource center, there's all sorts of ways that our affiliates can actually stay engaged with their client base.
Absolutely. Avoya provides so many resources available to their affiliates. I mean, if you can't come up with something on your own, don't worry. There's plenty for you to pick and choose from. And it's just another way that Avoya continues to help the network.
Now, Nichole, I know you specialize in all-inclusive vacations. Are you still seeing some strong interest in those types of trips?
I am, though, however, I will say for the past few months, I've really been booking trips, you know, they're 2, 3, maybe 4 months out. But I think with just some hesitances with the new variant of COVID, I've actually been looking more at Christmas and into 2022, you know, spring break, those kind of things that people are looking a little farther out. I think it's just they're wanting to kind of see how things settle down.
What advice would you offer an agent trying to figure out what they want to specialize in and why that's an important aspect of running a successful travel business?
I think go with what you know first. And for me, all inclusives is the way that my husband and I vacationed with our children when they were younger. And so it was something I just felt really confident in selling. And so, well, when I first got started, I kind of dabbled in other things as I've kind of brought in my specialty and really decided this is what I really love to sell. And this is what I, you know, my passion is. It's back to what I'm comfortable with and what I know the best. And so I think that's a good place to start. If you've cruised in the past, then that's a great place to start, right? If you've done Florida vacations every summer or whatever it might be, right? Go with what you know. That's a good place to start.
Makes sense to me. What about fun? Now, I know running a business is kind of all-encompassing sometimes, but we still have to try to find time for that work-life balance.
Always.
What does Nichole Patrick like to do for fun when you can step away from your business for a little bit?
I wish I could say I was good at relaxing, but I'm not. And so I'm married to a builder, and we joke, or my joke really is that we are constantly remodeling our home. And so my husband and I work on projects. We just finished remodeling our master bath. And so we've always got projects going on. So I wish I could say I know how to relax well, but I really don't unless I literally leave the country.
Well, maybe I need to invite you and your husband down here to Florida. You could
To
visit. We've
relax
got
at
to
your
do,
house.
yeah, so you can relax and do projects that I haven't seemed to have found time for at my house. Exactly. What about future travel plans? Anything that's coming up in the near future that you're really excited about?
Yeah, actually, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to Greece.
Ooh,
Yeah, I'm very excited. I've never been, but we have friends who live in Ukraine, and they're actually going to meet us, quote unquote, halfway. And we're going to hang out for a few days and just visit, reconnect. We've not seen them in about a year and a half, about since COVID started. So we're excited to, you know, travel over the big pond again.
yeah, how exciting. That was my trip that I had to cancel, during COVID was a big trip to Greece. So I'm so excited to get that back on my agenda and
Yes.
get back to kind of planning those future travel plans. Nichole, one last question before we let you go.
Sure.
Knowing what you know, having been through what we've all been through in the last couple of years, how would you characterize your belief in the future of leisure travel?
People are always going to want to go and see. We're curious by nature. And so when we have the ability to go and see and experience something that we've never experienced before, I think if the opportunity presents itself, people will always be willing to go. And whether it's for leisure, whether it's for exploration, if you're one of those adventure travelers, and like to go do something really exciting, whatever it's going to be, I think it's always going to be there. Maybe it's going to slow down for a little bit, but in the long run, we're going to make it.
And despite, maybe hearing clients that are a little bit hesitant because of what's going on with the COVID situation right now, do you still get that sense that deep down inside, they're really excited to get back out there on the road, get back to those kind of adventures?
Absolutely. I can't tell you, probably every person I speak to or email with or anything, they're like, we are ready to go. We're ready to break out of this life of quarantine, right? And just go. So we might be held down temporarily, but yeah, it's going to come back, and everyone that hasn't had the opportunity yet to break free is definitely going to. And I think we're going to have an amazing wave.
Perfect note to end on. Nichole Patrick, everyone, owner of Traverse the Earth LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Travel Network. Nichole, thank you again for that great insight and for your time today.
Absolutely, Chris. Always great to chat with you. Bye-bye.
You as well. Next week, we have a great episode of Meet the Team as Laura Burke, Senior Manager of Avoya Mastermind, will be joining us for a great discussion on the benefits of ongoing professional development and how our mastermind program for an agency owner that truly is going to engage can have some amazing results. And I look forward to having Laura on the show. Okay, so maybe your dream has always been to get involved in the travel industry. Well, now, even with all of the challenges that are still going on because of COVID, I'm telling you, now is a really great time to consider starting that business. Learn how you can build a successful travel business, work with the premier host agency and leisure travel, while at the same time retaining the fact that you're your own boss. You set your own hours, you run your business as you see fit, as long as it's done with integrity and professionalism. But you can access innovative resources, including turnkey marketing assets, the award-winning Avoya Mastermind program, and so much more. And of course, we'll have our contact details here in just a second for those that are new to the travel industry. What about our friends that have been in the travel industry? Well, we still have a couple of great promotions as we roll through September. We're still waiving our $4.95 affiliation fee for a high-end travel professional. And as we've said throughout this whole year, that would normally mean somebody that, like in the business in 2019, would have done $500,000 or more, probably having a fairly decent year, but might be looking for a more significant set of resources to take their business to the new level as we hopefully experience that rush that Nichole and I were just talking about. So reach out to Avoya Travel, get yourself qualified. One of the specialists will work with you, get you qualified, and we can again waive that fee. If you're still trying to attain that level, still dreaming of being $1 million agency, we have the resources that can probably help you to start to achieve some of those goals. And we've got a promotion too, where we'll waive the first 6-month renewal fee. You can explore with complete flexibility, no long-term contract or exclusive agreement. Again, contact us for eligibility and offer details. And how do you contact us? So it's pretty simple. There's my email, chris.green@avoyatravel.com. Just remember the E on the end of green. Nichole and I were chatting about that before our show today. So chris.green@avoyatravel.com. There's the phone number. AvoyaNetwork.com has a ton of resources about Avoya Travel. You can put in a request. We'll get a specialist involved. They'll reach out. They'll schedule you for a conversation, maybe a one-on-one demonstration. And if it's a good fit, we'll move it forward. If it's not a good fit, then we just thank each other for our time. We certainly appreciate the request. So again, reach out or leave us a message here on Facebook or on YouTube if you happen to be watching. Give me a call. Happy to schedule that time and have a conversation. Again, a big thank you to Nichole Patrick, owner of Traverse the Earth LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Travel Network, for being my special guest today. Big thank you to Jomana Bulos, who's producing our segment today. Marissa Smith will be back next week. Thank you again for your time. We'll be back next Thursday at our normal time, 2:15 Eastern, 11:15 a.m. Pacific. And until then, have a great week, everyone.